So Gemma, Street Talk this week. I'm trying to keep track of where we're up to with the original filming schedule and everything, but I think they threw a bit of a curveball this week at Coronation's due, because it seemed like this Wednesday's episode, which should have been Monday's episode originally, was only in one part. You know, because I was expecting we were talking last week about the cliffhangers and how much we were enjoying them. Friday's cliffhanger with Jeff trying to stop Yasmin going outside. Monday, last week's cliffhanger with David getting knifed. Then there should have been another cliffhanger on Wednesday, but there wasn't. And then today's episode started at the beginning of the day. So I think they're just trying to mess with us and make us, make it impossible to keep track of where the original schedule was going to be, which is probably for the best if we just forget about it.
Forget about it.
But on the whole, I've seen quite a few people saying that they quite like the new schedule structure.
Yes,
people aren't really complaining about 3 episodes a week.
Well, there are rations, aren't they? We have to eke them out.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it just fine. And there was another exciting cliffhanger at the end of today's episode.
I know what's going to happen.
I literally don't know.
Anything.
I knew that was going to happen to Ollie, but as that is the limit of my knowledge of that story. So we'll talk about that one a little bit later. Our first story this week, we'll talk about the Yaz lighting first, as it does carry on from last week's cliffhanger. But there was more drama for the Barlow family this week as well. Not just a child nearly dying in their house. We had an actual death of Eccles.
I know.
Sad
She's
times.
gone across the Rainbow Bridge.
She has. I'm trying to think of some funny storyline titles for that, and I didn't come up with anything that was that hilarious. Just to warn you, but I haven't tested any of these out on you yet.
Okay.
So I've got to pop up a couple of candidates. Oh, I can't speak there. Eccles croaks, because it sounds a bit like Eccles cakes.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay. Doggone.
It's just okay,
cheesy.
That's fine.
Hashtag the dog dies.
What?
No, the Eccles.
How many are there?
2 more. Eccles is a border terrier, yeah?
Right.
Border to death.
Oh, God.
Or just border stiff.
Is that the last one?
That's the last one.
Oh, Jesus.
All pretty bad.
Okay. What one are you going to pick?
I don't know.
Well,
We'll
that's
let the listeners decide for that. That's the most cliche one. We'll also stick in...
Oh, sorry. I didn't realise
Wrong
your
choice.
was supposed to be original.
We'll also stick in all the other Seb and Emma stuff in there, and I've put the Stillwater stuff in as well, because not much happened there particularly, and it was all related to Ken. Then we will have a bit more of the winter blues. Then we talk about Ollie's story. Now, I can't remember why, but a few years ago, when there was something going on with Ollie, we called the storyline A Case of the Ollie Wobbles. This is kind of this is that to the extreme.
Wobbly.
So this is a serious case of the Ollie Wobbles
Okay.
we had today.
Is that sort of as bad or worse as Oopsie Daisy disease?
No, this is serious. It's in the name.
Okay.
And then we had a few other minor bits that weren't really developed. We had Kelly Turner, Rick Neelan's daughter.
Yeah.
I've written Kelly and the Killer in our notes, but that's a bit rubbish. And then there was also a little protesting story for Nina and Evelyn and Mary and Toya today.
Yeah.
I have also not got a storyline title
I wish
for
I could
that.
think of a cool collective noun for that.
Well, we got a week for you to come up with one, because I'm sure they'll be making an appearance in next week's Street Talk.
What a great idea for a story to have those, even if.
Well, I don't know what the story's going to be, but
Well, I think is it not done now?
maybe
Was that not our lot?
it felt like there should be more, because not much really happened. But
I think Toya is more into it than everyone else is. She's like, friend.
She just doesn't want to get a job, Toya.
Yeah, don't blame her.
Yeah, she was very quick to say, "What? You're having a storyline, Nina and Evelyn and Mary?"
Be in it.
And Dr. Ali's gone now, so I need somebody else to latch onto, please.
Yeah.
I've done protesting in the past and everything. Right,
I got
Yaz.
the soy latte for some reason.
Yaz lighting, Gemma, you can do.
Has she become a proper vegan
No,
now?
she hasn't. She hasn't.
Just
She's
checking.
we've had her having soy milk before.
Soy milk
Maybe
is
she
very.
just likes the taste.
You shouldn't have soy milk.
Okay, why not?
Estrogen.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe she needs a bit more estrogen. Maybe it'll help her have a baby.
That's horrible.
What happened in the Yasmin storyline this week?
Right, on Monday, Jeff turns on the waterworks again,
She's trying to escape.
This was the cliffhanger where she has had her exit blocked by him. He was like, "You're not going anywhere."
Yeah,
she was trying to escape out the door.
My theory that she was going to, bash him over the head and then get arrested, and then it'd eventually be caught on camera, and his spying would lead to his downfall. None of that happened, but she just got out.
If any character was going to be arrested by the end of the week, you would have guessed Evelyn, not Toya.
No, you mean Yasmin.
Yasmin, yeah.
But no.
Okay, so we come back to that cliffhanger on Monday, and it's swiftly resolved, as you said. He says, "Don't leave me, I'm ill," and she says, "I'll be back." And then
she seems
leaves.
very calm about it.
Yeah, she recognises, I think, that he's trying to manipulate her. So she goes to Alia's with her bags and tells her, "You're right, Jeff hasn't booked a hotel. I don't know, and then she starts getting messages.
Yeah, he's like bombarding her phone with texts for the next couple of scenes, but she's not looking at them first.
No, Alia is triumphant, really. She's like, "Glad you've come around. You come to Spain with me. We're going to leave now," basically. Yasmin gets offered a drink by Ryan, an alcoholic drink.
Little pre-flight tipple.
Yeah, and she says, "No, I'm not gonna have anything. I think it's better if I don't. I don't drink at the moment. I'm not drinking." So
even though she's starting to see Jeff's true colours, some of what he's, controlled her into thinking. She still can't let it.
Ali's like, "I can't believe you still think you've got a drink problem. Just controlling you." And Yasmin's like, "No, you wouldn't do that." Then she looks at her phone and she's got 42 messages from him, really panicky and pathetic.
They're all like, "I love you, I'm so sorry, please forgive me."
Whatever. But then at the end they get a bit more sinister, and the final one is, "Don't be surprised if I'm dead when you get home."
I had another look at that earlier. I think that was the second to last one. Then it's like goodbye or something like that. So he's kind of insinuating that he's topped himself.
Naughty,
to try and
Jeff.
Bring her back.
So Ali's like, "Don't believe him. He just wants you to chase after him." And Yasmin's like, "No, he's sensitive and damaged. He just does what he does out of love." And Ali's like, "No, he wants to control you. Look, I'll come with you. We'll both go. We'll both check on him before we go to the airport." So they get to the house and they find a broken photo frame with the thickest glass we've ever seen, covered in blood. Yasmin starts to panic. She thinks maybe he's cut his wrist. I don't know. She's worried he's in mortal peril. Actually, he's in a bar and he is drinking his beer and watching the video of Yasmin as she tries to call him.
Yeah, he's live streaming her
anguish. Yas tells Alia, I can't risk going to Spain. It's just too vulnerable. He needs me. Alia gives up, says, You're going to miss your only grandson's wedding and it's all your fault." And she said something like, "And this time I will say I told you so." She's totally
washing her hands of it.
Fed up with it. She goes back to Ryan, says, "It was so close to her getting away. There's nothing I can do." And so she goes to Spain. At number 6, Yasmin is sitting there. She's about to call 999 because she thinks Jeff's died somewhere in a hole. Jeff comes back, gets a big hug. They're both full of apologies and reuniting. And Jeff says, "I'm nothing without you." And then Yasmin is initially really relieved to see him, isn't she? And kind of hugs him, and she's just glad that nothing bad happens. But then once she gets over the fact that he's fine, her brain is still ticking. Like, what if he's fine? Then what was all that about? Why did he send me those messages? She still doesn't know.
The whole thing with the photo frame as well. He says, "Oh, I just."
That's right. Yeah. When they go into the house together, Alia says he's probably just. What was the word she used?
She said he like nicked his finger on it or something.
Probably just caught his finger on it, and then he uses the exact same phrase when he comes back.
Oh yeah. I didn't even pick that up. So he said that because he saw Alia saying that that's what he would say, maybe.
Yes, maybe. I didn't even think of that.
No, I hadn't thought about that beforehand.
Maybe, that's really interesting. Yeah, maybe she's subconsciously wondering, how did he know that?
Yeah, is that just a coincidence?
The reason that I thought that was interesting was because Alia was downplaying it, and then Jeff downplayed it as well, and she was thinking.
It did look like there was an awful lot of blood.
Yeah, That's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't realise that maybe Yasmin was starting to wonder whether she was being listened to or something. Don't know. We don't know yet. At the end of the week, it's still not resolved.
She needs to talk to Carla about that, or about the secret spying satellites.
On her, yeah. She says, I'm going to sleep in the spare room tonight. There's a lot has happened today, and I just need some space. And he is...
He's okay with it. I think he realises...
I think he just has to...
I'm getting her... She's on my side still.
Yeah. So he says, it's okay. Goes to the chippy for some tea. Then... Alone in the house, Yasmin calls Claire. Now, this is also interesting too. What does she say on the phone to...
I don't think she says... I don't know whether we see her... Oh, no, I think maybe at the beginning of Wednesday's episode, she says I'm worried.
No. On the phone to the police officers,
yeah.
What does she say?
I don't remember.
Because if Jeff watched that, he would know then. If she says something like... I want to talk to somebody about Claire's law, he would know. But perhaps he obviously doesn't watch every single thing that he records because he wouldn't have time. So luckily on Wednesday, she meets the officers in the community centre. Is that luck, or is it because she thinks the place is bugged? Don't know.
Well, yeah. I think that they've said as well that they're being very discreet about it, and they won't even give her a card afterwards because they don't want to leave any physical trace. So I guess that they would have recommended
meet somewhere else where he's not likely to come in.
Yeah.
So she meets them at the community centre. They're both plainclothes female police officers.
There's some good directing because we don't during.
This is a Matt Hilton.
Yeah. While Yasmin's telling them everything that's been happening to her, we see the back of the police officer's head, don't we?
Yeah.
Big afro, and it's kind of to and somebody I think on the Facebook group pointed out that it was to make the focus all be on Yasmin and her anguish, and it wasn't about the police officers.
Yeah, they're kind of anonymous.
But I do think it would have been quite funny, I said to you at the time, if they turned around and it had been Kirsty, because it could have been Kirsty from the back.
Did he hit you with a vacuum cleaner?
Yeah. I hear that's what people
it's
do.
Not abuse otherwise. So they tell her about this incident between Jeff and his ex and said... There were conflicting reports about what actually happened, and eventually the charges were dropped, but the woman had previously made complaints about Jeff in the past.
I didn't feel that we really learnt anything that we didn't already know. I was expecting there to be some, massive revelation, but there wasn't really. This is
more like how it would be, isn't it? Some people don't have any trace.
Yeah, no. I was hoping for a bit of a, he did what?
No, but it's more realistic if there isn't. And also don't forget that really it's only very recently that this kind of thing has been taken seriously. We're even watching, like we said, if you listen to us talking about the 60s and 70s episodes of Coronation Street, they talk about beating their wives up. Like, it's what you've got to do to keep them in line. Yeah. So, anyway, the police officer says, do you feel afraid of your husband? Does he make you feel like you're walking on eggshells? And she says, well, he can make me feel tense. And so they say, you can stay in a women's refuge or somewhere safe. And she says, no, I can't. No.
She's edging closer, but she just can't quite take the plunge, can she?
Well, no, because this is the difficult...
Baby steps.
This is the difficult part of it, isn't it? That would involve leaving her own house. And why should she leave? And
she should leave because she...
No, I know, but why can't he leave? You see, this is the trouble. The woman's the one that has to leave. There's no facility. Like, the police can't come in and go, right, Jeff, you're being a dick. You're out. It's not against the law to be annoying to your wife, is it? And make her on edge. But what I'm saying is, if the world was just and we could tell and we knew it was easy to tell these stories, if women, if we could do it without a judge and jury, like we just knew the truth. In a just world, the man would be leaving the house, not the woman. That's my point.
I think she thinks if I leave, then then there's no going back. I think she still thinks in the back of her head, what if I'm making this up? What if Anya is wrong? What if everything Jeff is saying is true?
It's not that bad, or maybe it's my fault.
Yeah.
And again, like I said before, anyone, think of your situation now. If your partner became abusive, or the person you live with, would you so easily be able to just pick your life up and take it somewhere else? No.
But she does get herself ready towards the end of the episode.
Jeff tells Yasmin that the email that she was asking him about, because that was the other thing.
The Rachel one.
It was from an escort. I made a mistake. I thought it was a dating site. That research I was doing, I've got confused. And as soon as I realised who I was meeting, I made my excuses and left. So all along he's been saying, oh yeah, I was doing a radio show about dating. And then she's like, well, this is an escort, not a date. And he's like, oh, whoopsie-doo. I admit I did make a mistake. Can we move past it? And she agrees. And who goes to chickens?
He goes off to the chickens. She goes off to feed the chickens. He says, look, go and feed the chickens, because he wants to have a snoop around in her bag. Oh,
that's right. He goes through her bag. So she could...
I was a bit confused about what he took out of there. I don't know whether they said or whether they made it completely clear, but he sits down next to her bag, and then in the next scene she's there looking for something, and he's looming behind her saying, have you lost something? And she's like, oh no, it's just my keys, here they are. So I don't know whether he has taken something, but if he has, what would he have taken? Because she wasn't given anything from the police officers. I don't know whether I missed something there.
He wants to go to the pub. He says, I've lost my keys. I need yours. So he then leaves the house, and she can't leave without the keys.
Yeah, but he didn't take her keys out of her bag, did he? I don't know.
We maybe have missed something.
Maybe we've missed something there.
Ryan goes to see...
A lot going on this week. 3 whole episodes.
I know. Ryan comes to see Yasmin because Ollie's worried about her. And he says, I'm round the corner if you need me. And she's like, thanks very much, but mind your own business, thank you. And then we see her with a go bag. She prepares herself a sort of an exit piece of luggage, and she puts it in under the stairs.
Yeah, so although she wasn't ready to completely take the plunge earlier, she's at least got it in her head that at some point I might need to make a mad dash for it.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy because she's still not really thinking it's dangerous. Like you would think to yourself, if I've got to the stage now where I'm making myself an escape bag because of my husband, just goes to show you how she's so caught up in his claws. You know, she's even at the stage where she's talking to the police and she's got herself an escape bag, but she's still not sure that she should go. And if that doesn't show you how insidious and evil this situation is, I don't know what would.
Yeah, so see, I've been wondering whether everything that happens in that house, I'm thinking, could he have been watching her? How much of the footage is he reviewing?
Yeah.
Because she is indoors a lot of the time.
Well,
so you're right, he can't have watched everything. Or is it the case that the camera's mostly off, but then he switches it on for
I think
when he's
the whole time.
When he's expecting it? Because he definitely filmed her. He filmed the house while Ryan and Alia were looking after it while they were away in Las Vegas, didn't he? But it's one of these things that I suppose would be filming all the time. He must have a very big hard drive on that laptop.
Or is that one of these famous double entendres that we had on Friday's episode?
Or is it all been uploaded to the cloud? He's got an awful lot of web space there.
Yeah.
But there are things that are happening there that if he reviewed the footage properly, then she'd be in a lot of trouble. And I almost wish that this video wasn't there now, because I feel that that's going to be, either she's going to find the video at an opportune moment for the plot, and then I might just be left thinking, well, she could have found that any time. Isn't it convenient that now's the time she found it? Or he's going to happen to see something at a convenient time, and I'd rather the plot didn't develop because of a convenient video that's been stashed there and nobody's been able to find yet.
Yeah, and like no cases of abuse were resolved in this country because somebody was filming somebody and then accidentally saw something. It needs to be realistic and not gimmicky.
Yeah. And I was disappointed that the story didn't carry on into today's as well. It was just feeling like it's ramping up, something's going to happen. Because when I finished watching Wednesday's episode, and I thought, okay, this is just the first half of an episode, so we're going to see more of it on Friday, but obviously we didn't in the end. I kind of built myself up for there to again be a big showdown or something in today's episode, and now it's been left that maybe we won't get anything more for this for a while, and because of the way that the episodes are going to be rationed out now, that while might be we don't get anything for a month, 2 months or so, and that'd be very frustrating because it feels like they're so close to, you know, Jeff being blown out of the water with all this. What was your opinion on Alia and the fact that she's pretty much given up on Yasmin for now anyway? Like, should she have stayed and looked after her, or is it understandable that she went off to Spain?
The thing is, you can't do anything. She's done everything she can do. She's given Yasmin the tools to escape, hasn't she? She introduced her to Claire's Law. She told her to phone the police. She laid a little bit of a breadcrumb trail with the whole, you know, finger cut thing. You can't force somebody to leave their partner. You have to let them do it themselves.
But if she thinks that, how much danger does she think that Yasmin is in?
I
Because
don't
if
think
anything
she
does
thinks-
happen to her while she's away, she's not going to be able to forgive herself. I know that Ryan's there and he said that he'd keep an eye out for her and everything, but I don't think there's a whole lot that he can do.
I don't think that she thinks that she's in danger at all. I think she knows that she's being controlled, but I don't think that she thinks that she's in physical danger.
No.
Because even when he's done something to her, like with locking her in the box, it was more to control her, to put her in her place, like, than it was the physical punishment. He inflicted physical punishment, pain on her, but it was more a consequence of the controlling aspect that he wanted to punish her.
Yeah.
And like the psychological thing of being stuck in the in the claustrophobic.
Yeah. It feels to me like something should happen to Yasmin while Alia's away, so that she doesn't forgive herself. But the way that it's going at the moment, and then moving on, and we've got some new storylines starting now. It does feel like they've rested it, and maybe now they're just going to wait for Alia to go back. But I don't know. But
there might be a little bit of a break now while we're waiting for Alia to come back. Again, it would make sense that that now Jeff knows she might be onto him a bit. He might now back off completely, which is part of the gaslighting, isn't it? It's kind of like she might now stop to think to herself, maybe I was just overreacting because he's being great, you know. He's being. It would make sense that if you knew that you were almost rumbled, you would stop.
He's had a very close call.
Yes, exactly. So now would be probably the time that he would.
I wonder whether Ryan will keep an eye out on things and then realise, or think he's realising that everything is actually okay and Alia's worrying over nothing. I don't know. I guess we will find out.
Ryan's not going to be able to find anything out.
No, nothing's going to
Yasmin's a very private person. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
Well, she told him to mind his own business. Yeah. She wasn't saying it, you know, go away, Ryan. She was just kind of kindly saying, I've got this.
Yeah.
Myself. Do you think, yeah. I wonder what Jeff would do if he did find that escape bag.
It's tricky because
his MO just seems to be to start crying.
Make her feel guilty. If he found it, he would probably say, I can't believe that I've made you think that you need to escape from me. What can I do to convince you that I love you? You're being silly. What have I done to you that's made you like this? And, you know, all the things that Yasmin would think of, he would have excuses for, because he's always had excuses. Everything he's done to her, he's gone, oh no, that wasn't me being controlling, that was just oh, I didn't know that you were locked in the box. Oh, that wasn't, I didn't know she was an escort when I met up with her.
Well, we'll see, but there's only so much that this story can go around in circles, and I'm not saying it is, but I need there to be a big climax of sorts at some point.
Is that another double entendre?
Yes, it is. Right, dog stuff then, Gemma, and Emma.
Tell me about it.
Zena. Well, Monday wasn't about that at all. Actually, it was more about Emma and Seb and Alina. And Emma,
I'm over this now.
I'm over that. Emma sees Seb and Alina having a bit of a bicker over coffee in the street.
I mean, this is the week where Emma has a worse week than Eccles, who dies.
Yeah.
You know? Emma's having a worse time.
She has a pretty bad time this week, doesn't she? Now, we also have Michael, who's going for a job interview at Underworld, a sales job or something for their new,
I thought they were selling directly to the public. Why do they need salespeople?
Well, public have got to find out about it somehow.
Well, that's marketing.
Yeah, well, that's what he's doing.
Oh, right, you don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what he's doing. He gets the job, I assume. He's nervous about it, and he tells Alina afterwards that he had been worried because he can't start for a few weeks. I don't really know why they had that in there, but anyway, Michael's now working at Underworld.
So that means that on the show now,
it's like a month.
It'll be like a month.
We're not going to say anything about that for a long time, I figure. And also Seb has to try and explain to Emma why he and Alina were bickering earlier, and it was just about coffees. It wasn't about him fancying her and anything, but she still isn't really in the mood to speak to him. So not a whole lot particularly happens there. Wednesday is when the main drama goes on, and this is what I was wondering last week when because the McDonald's have all gone off on a little holiday, haven't they? And I said on last week's podcast
to see the grief retreat.
Yeah, I said on last week's podcast, I think I know because what's going to happen next week, because I'd heard about Eccles dying, and I thought, maybe Emma's going to be the one there that's around when Eccles pegs it.
Oh, you were right.
I was right about that, but I kind of wish I was wrong, because I mean, I'm sure you can imagine what I thought about Emma being involved in Eccles' storyline, because I've already said an awful lot about Emma being used as the new, she's turning into the new Rana. The amount of tears that poor girl has had to sob over the past 6 months. So
she is definitely the whipping boy of Coronation Street at the moment, and it does not need to happen for Emma to be a liked character. Why does Coronation Street think that we, in order to sympathise and like somebody, we have to watch them go through miserable trials and tribulations? Why do they take comedy characters like Gemma and Emma and then make their lives a living hell?
Look, they can do drama too.
I don't care if they can do drama. That's not why I like them. There's loads of people that can do drama. Very few people can do drama and comedy, and there are not that many likeable comedic characters that are like new ones. Emma and Gemma are both the newest two. They need to keep.
They just need to get the balance right.
Well,
the
right.
amount, the fact that the viewers took a shine to Emma so quickly because of how quirky she was at the beginning.
They've got to
should tell the producers,
we had
that's
it right.
what we like about her. We had it right first time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she starts off the episode having a bit of a cry with Eccles on the sofa because
she's
of
alone,
her.
like you said.
Yeah, she is just those two on the sofa there, and she's talking about how awful her love life has been. She's like, first David rejected me, and then there's this whole thing with Seb, and I don't know about what her relationships were like pre-David, but obviously she thinks that she started anew when she's begun on Coronation Street. Although I was a little bit, I didn't realise that Emma was so cut up about David.
No, I know.
It felt to me like it was a bit of a fling.
Cheeky little roll in the hay for both of them.
Yeah, so did I, but never mind. She goes out for a walk with Eccles, and so they're sitting in the community garden when Dev comes over. And did you know that Dev was actually a trained vet? Because he took one look at Eccles and was like, she's not looking good. Eccles always looks a bit,
Eccles has got a dour face. That's why she's
does.
adorable.
Yeah, she's always looking a bit down in the dumps, but she's just kind of sitting quietly. Apparently, they've got two dogs that play Eccles, and one of them's very kind of like bright and bouncy and everything, and one of them's a bit lazy, and they've been using the lazy Eccles replacement for these recent scenes because she just has to sit there and, as you say, look a bit dour. But Dev says, that dog's not looking good. Let's go to the vets, or you go to the vets, Emma, and sort them out. So apparently, the vet there says that Eccles is looking anemic, but they're going to do a few tests to find out what's wrong with her. And Emma's desperately trying to contact
Somehow,
Ken.
she can't get in touch with any person in the Barlow family.
No, she can't contact Ken, she can't contact Tracy, Steve.
It's their fault, really, for not being on the other end of the phone.
Is that just poor reception in Scotland? Have they gone up, Ben Nevis or something for a retreat? I don't know. but for whatever reason, she can't contact Ken, so it falls to her to make the big decisions about the future of this dog that she, to be honest, barely even knows. But anyway, the vet says...
Michael, how do you really get to know a dog that well?
Uh,
They have rich and vast internal lives we don't know anything about.
The vet comes back and says that Eccles has got a tumour on her spleen, and she's like, well, we can either let nature take its course and...
let her get eaten by an eagle.
Yes, or we can operate. And Emma says, well, obviously we need to operate. Ken would do anything to save Eccles. Get out the scalpel, man. So
and Ken's like going, well, yeah, but how much is it?
So there's another tragic scene on the vet's table where Emma is there and Eccles is sitting down looking sad, and Emma's having a cry saying, oh, you can have a sleep, it'll be all better when you wake up. Well, that plan doesn't work, does it? Because turns out that when they slice her open, the tumour's spread. Nothing that they can do.
So yet another cancer death on Coronation Street.
Yet another one. And
when will they learn?
And Emma has to make another decision, which is like, do we wake up Eccles, and then she will live for another couple of days in agony, or
Why?
do we? Well, from this tumour, it's getting worse and worse. Also, it probably really hurts where you've been sliced open.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or we just don't bring around, and the vet's like, that'd be the humane thing.
That's the cheapest thing.
That's the cheapest thing to do, and even that's £1,000.
Yeah. Imagine what it would be if we sewed her up and woke her up.
How much in real life do you think that the vets would have let Emma make these decisions when she is absolutely nothing to do with this dog?
This was a matter of great controversy on the Facebook page, on social media.
Oh, was
a lot of
it?
people were outraged about the idea that Emma should be responsible for making decisions for Eccles, and I can definitely see that point of view. But I also think that the vet would have a responsibility to limit the suffering of the animal.
Yeah, but...
And say, look, I know it's not your pet, but really we have to do something here.
If I left my pet alone with... What is Emma to...
Yeah, but Michael,
to Ken?
Whenever you leave your animal with somebody, it's under the understanding that should something happen to that pet, and if you don't honestly, if you don't talk to somebody about this, if you're leaving your pet with somebody, you really should be, because if I ever did this, if I left my animal with somebody, I would always make sure to say to them, if something happens, this is our vet, this is our insurance company, whatever you need to do, just do it, and we'll pay you back when we come back, or if you can't get hold of me. That's the responsible thing to do. Is this weird or what?
I just feel a bit, I'd feel pretty angry if I went out of phone reception area for a little bit and then turns out that my dog had been put to sleep.
Well, this happened to me, didn't it? Poor Bobby, I had to carry him in my arms up the hill to the vets. He was sick. He could tell there's something terribly wrong with him. Took him in to the vets, and I had to leave that day to go to your family's house, and I didn't have any mobile phone reception. So I had to leave Bobby there, and I wasn't registered as the owner.
Who was it? Your nan's dog, wasn't it?
No, it was my parents'
dog.
dog.
Your parents' dog at that point.
So I left him there, but they knew I was a member of the family.
Yeah.
I walked out and left. I didn't pay anything. Went to your house and then didn't get any phone calls because I didn't have any reception because you live in a village.
Mm.
And then I went upstairs to the attic room, which is your bedroom, got a phone message, and it was the vet who'd left a message on the answer phone saying, sorry, Bobby died.
Mm.
And then I had to phone mum and dad and tell them.
So I imagine that watching this Wednesday's episode hit pretty
Didn't
close to
enjoy
home
it very
for you.
much. I'd rather not
not have to relive that.
Yeah, it was very sad.
Mm.
But yeah, my point is that I guess it was different though because Bobby died at the vets. They didn't have a treatment particularly. They were just trying to observe him, and then he didn't make it. But the point is really, anyone can take an animal to a vet's. Like if you find a wildlife on the street or a cat or something, you take it to the vet's, don't you?
Yeah.
And the vet will accept animals that you don't own.
Mm.
Like the vet's not going to go, sorry, I don't know who this belongs to, this cat with his leg hanging off. You have to go and find who owns it. The vet will treat and give treatment to an animal if they need it, because I assume that, they don't get into it because they like working with things that we on them and not having any money and being depressed all the time. Being a vet apparently is really hard.
I bet it is.
Emotionally on people.
Yeah.
So the vet will probably, in reality, go, look, I know this is not your dog, but you brought this dog to me and it's got something wrong with it. So it's, you know, because they don't always. The thing is, they can't always do the absolute best thing for the animal because sometimes people can't afford to do that. But the other option normally is, well, do you want me to do something or do you want me to put it down?
Well,
I don't know.
It's another burden that poor Emma has to shoulder this week because when the Barlow McDonalds finally do turn up at the vets, Tracy's vile to Emma and like accuses her of being a dog murderer, and I hated that.
The Barlow clan were just really
Amy
sympathetic.
Amy was. I didn't think that they reacted particularly well. Like Amy was just like what, but I don't think we saw her shed a tear, and Ken was. Yeah, they didn't seem too upset about it, and Amy and Tracy was just angry.
Animals at least as much as I cry for people.
I think that Ken particularly was understanding of the decision that Emma made.
I don't know. I think he was a bit dismissive of her, and I think honestly, if I saw somebody there and they were crying because they took my dog to the vet and the dog got put down, I would immediately feel bad for them as much as, you know, you're not. The vet didn't do it for fun. What I don't understand what they think happened. The vet's like, well, yeah, I'm actually a psychopath and I hate dogs.
Well,
I'm more of a fish person.
Emma had to end up finding her own way home as well, didn't she? The last scene on Wednesday was her sobbing as she walked out the vets where the rest of the Barlows were.
Her.
Yeah.
It's like, it's also weird as well because we feel, out of everybody in this storyline, we feel the most sad for Emma, who literally knows nothing about this dog. Like, she has no emotional attachment really to this dog, but she's the one that's more upset than everybody else.
Ken doesn't appear. Ken on Friday's episode just doesn't particularly want to talk about it or think about it. He's more upset that he's been given a vet's bill for £1,000 and he hasn't remembered to keep up his insurance.
I know, what an idiot. It automatically renews, Ken. What are you talking about? Didn't get to the renewal.
And Claudia offers to pay for it, but he's like, no, this is my bill. I'll be fine. So
if you're in an old people's home, that is to the level of expense that clearly is. A bill for £1,000 shouldn't really rock you, otherwise you can't afford to be in the old people's home.
Speaking of which, we do have a few scenes at the old people's home on Friday because Charles has had some re-election leaflets printed out.
Before you jump to that, the reason I said that Ken was not very forgiving, like you said he was Emma was there trying to apologise and he was like, I'd really rather not talk about it if it's all the same to you. Like, that's not the same as being sympathetic, is it? That's like, I don't want to talk about it. My grief is greater than yours, even though I'm not that bothered. Poor Emma.
He's suffered plenty of grief in his life, hasn't he?
He's like, look, I've had so many wives die that this dog really, just another one. Another
one in a long line.
Wives.
He should have like just a row of urns.
Yeah, another coffin to be buried
sideboard.
in my plot when I go.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, at Stillwater's, Charles has been printing out re-election campaign leaflets because, as far as I can tell, there wasn't going to be an election plan, but Ken started talking last week about, isn't it time that you stood for election, and so now they're having an election.
Because Ken said.
Yeah.
And somehow Charles has been elected 8 separate times. So how does that work?
I don't know.
Every time he gets challenged, he goes, right, we'll have an election then.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if that's how world politics works? It kind of does, actually. Kind of does work like that sometimes.
So anyway, Norris is trying to encourage Ken to stand up against Charles.
Why does Norris not think he's got a chance? Is it because he's got an odious personality and nobody will vote for him?
No, Norris said, I can't remember what his excuse was, but he said he'd rather just kind of sit back and watch things happen. I don't know.
I want to watch the drama.
Meanwhile, with Emma, she's having more dramas with Seb because she realises that she can't really stay at number 1 anymore after what happened with Eccles. So she needs to go back and...
Tracy's being openly hostile to her and going, no, you can't stay here.
Yeah.
So it's not really even a hint that she's picking up here.
She needs to go and move back into the hairdresser's flat, which means that Seb has to move out, and he's like, yeah, fine, I'll start looking for places. And she says, no, you need to move out today. I can't spend even one more day with you. And he's like, well, no, I've only just moved in here. I've got
a month.
I've got a month. I've got renters' rights or whatever.
Well, you do. You can't just kick somebody out.
No, but Emma doesn't accept this and just ends up throwing his clothes and unbranded games console out of the window, which Steve spots when he's supposed to be looking after Ollie. Goes over there, tries to make her see reason a little bit.
Been in trouble once with Leanne for being late to pick Ollie up.
Yes.
So he's like, look, Summer, you look after Ollie.
Yes.
While I go and sort out my daughter's crazy
He just kind of says to her, look, Seb does have the law on his side. You need to back down a little bit. And then we have another scene at the at Stillwaters where Ken walks into the main lounge there and he finds Claudia and Frida and Norris kind of making light of Eccles' death. They're kind of comparing him to which telly dog was
Shep?
it? Old Yellow or something? I don't know, something like that. And he's like, I loved her.
She wasn't an it.
And Norris says, well, you want to hear what Charles was saying about
Yes.
her. Oh, he said he won't be shedding tears over the death of any incontinent animal, but to be honest, he could have been talking about any of the residents here. And this riles Ken up so much so that he just declares that he shall be facing off against Charles in the Stillwater leader election. What's the role again?
Chief busybody.
Yes. Which is what I thought. We kind of assumed last week that this was what was going to happen anyway, so I don't feel that there's been a whole lot of development. Last week started with Ken getting his knickers in a twist about Charles, and now it's just reaching its logical conclusion.
I also don't get, because I thought that Charles had some kind of financial stake in this place.
I don't know.
So he can't do if he is willing to give up control of it to somebody in an election. So is Ken going to get in there and realise that Charles has been, embezzling money or something?
Well, I guess so, because Charles is collecting all this money from the various his fines, isn't he? So if Ken does take over control, then Charles is going to have to cover his tracks.
That would be a separate thing, though, wouldn't you? Why on earth do you have an elected official who's collecting and in charge of fines in a place that's presumably run by some company?
Well, exactly. So who does actually run Stillwaters?
Who runs it? Why are they letting Charles take fines? Is somebody going to turn up in a few weeks' time and go, what the hell? Do you remember that story about the guy who worked in, is it Bath or somewhere, Bristol? He worked in the car park for 40 years or something, and he was the car park attendant. And when he retired, the council and the zoo both wrote to each other to say, well, who are you going to replace him with? And it turns out he just turned up one day and started collecting money. And the entire time he was just taking money. And the zoo thought he worked for the council and the council thought he worked for the zoo. And he was just keeping it all in his pocket. Is that what Charles is doing?
I don't know. I guess that the owners of Stillwaters are just like,
I don't care.
Let them get on with whatever they want to.
They're
it's a bit like,
anyway.
you have your school council elections.
It's inconsequential to me.
Basically, yeah. Anyway.
So is this Emma's storyline as well?
Well, I've just thrown them all together because Ken is the linchpin between it all.
So we left Emma sort of with Steve going...
Oh, I suppose I can't really throw Seb out.
Yeah, which you can't. I don't know why Emma decided to go crazy and chuck Seb's stuff out the window and try and kick him out.
She's been through a lot. She's
very
emotional
this week. She said to
week.
Steve, I'm allowed to kick off. I guess she has been kicked in the teeth a lot, and now it's time for her to have a temper tantrum.
But like you said earlier, I'm totally over the Seb, Alina, Emma
I really
love
don't
triangle
care about it now.
until
Also,
something happens. But it seems like maybe Alina's gonna get off with Michael because again they've had scenes together. That means something's gonna happen there.
Gonna have a baby.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I think that those two could make a good couple together. They seem to have a bit of chemistry today.
Alina and Michael make a really good couple, and Seb today was so morose and surly to Emma. I just thought to myself, what on earth does anyone see in him? I used to really like him, but just this scene really put me off. I think I was just sick and tired of everybody being a bit blasé about Eccles dying.
It just seems to me that Alina, maybe Seb will choose to stay with Alina, but then Alina gets wooed over by Michael, so Seb feels like he's been betrayed and goes back to Emma, and then they live happily ever after.
I kind of feel a bit like, what is Seb doing in the show now? If Seb went, oh, do you know what? I'm sick of it. I'm going to move to Liverpool next week. I'd be like, okay, see you later. What is he doing in the show? Nothing.
Yeah, just being in a love triangle.
The only really thing that's keeping him there is his mum, and they don't really have a very great relationship.
No, Abby, it feels like so long since Abby has even had anything important to do anyway.
I know, it's terrible. Where's Abby living?
With Kevin, maybe?
You think that Seb would move in with Kevin and Abby?
Yeah, because
that would actually make him interesting again, I think.
Honestly, I can't remember whether Abby's living with Kevin or not.
I don't think she is. I don't know where she's living.
Oh, it's bad, isn't it?
That's what happens when it's... We need, like...
A little map.
The war... No, like the war... In the war when... in Churchill's bunker where they had the map with the ladies with the little rakes pushing people around. That's what we need.
So have you got any other thoughts on the Eccles situation? Did you think it was well done? Was it sensitively done? Because they certainly spooned on the emotion, didn't they?
It was very sad, and some great camera angles.
I don't think I'm very empathetic about things, because I didn't feel a whole lot of sadness, but I think I was partly in the back of my head just getting annoyed about the fact that they were making, giving more drama and tragedy for Emma, and that was kind of blocking out the sympathy that I should have been feeling. It was certainly no Schmeichel, and I think again part of my problem with it was that I don't think that, despite being in the show for 15, 16 years, I don't feel like we've got much of a connection to Eccles.
You heartless sod.
Eccles hasn't had, many major storylines, that's all I'm saying.
What about the time she got poisoned or did a big pile of poo?
Oh, yeah. No, so when Schmeichel died, it was Chesney's childhood friend.
I think the reason...
Eccles hasn't done much apart from giving Ken, Deirdre, Blanche, whoever, an opportunity to go for walks.
Yeah, I know. I think that you might feel differently if it had been Ken who was with Eccles when she died, because Emma had no emotional connection to Eccles.
I think you're right,
and I think you felt bad for Emma because she was in a terrible situation.
Yeah, so I felt worse for Emma than I did for Eccles then, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if Ken had been there, that would... And we did have, 3-4 weeks ago, before Ken went off to Stillwaters, he had that little scene with Eccles on the sofa, didn't he? And he was stroking him. And
that's probably why they didn't do it again, because we've already had Ken sort of gradually say goodbye to everything on the street, and it feels like he already did say goodbye to Eccles.
Mm.
It's just weird that they brought Eccles into the story with him and going to Stillwaters. It only seems to have given Ken this motivation to fight Charles in the election. Like, do we really need Eccles to die
for Ken to want to stand up against Charles?
And all that really happened was Charles went, "Oh, stupid dog."
But I don't even know whether Charles did do that or whether Norris made it up, because Norris wanted. Yeah, I think that Norris could have very well made it up to stir Ken into.
It would have been
taking the stand
a lot more emotional and a bit more logical if Charles had somehow been involved in Eccles' death. Like, if he had said, "Well, your dog's not allowed here, so I'm going to take it away, and we'll put it in this room, and you can take it home tomorrow," and then Eccles died or something, and then you'd feel a bit more sad, and then and Ken would have an actual reason other than he was trash talking.
I mean, it was kind of tragic that Ken didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Eccles, but we didn't explore that.
No, he didn't say anything.
No, and again, he just didn't really want to talk about it today.
And also, the other poignant sort of cliche animal death scene that would always get people going is the goodbye scene where you are having the pet put down and you have to say goodbye to it, and we
got something similar where the scene before
with her going,
you're gonna have a sleep and you'll get up, and I think a lot of people knew what was going to happen there.
I got confused when I watched that because I thought that was Emma having her put down. So when she says you're going to have a sleep and wake up and it'll be better, I was like, oh, it will be better because you'll be in heaven with Nana, Blanche and Deirdre.
I wish that it hadn't been quite so spoiled that Eccles was going to die, and like on the day that I saw other accounts on Twitter saying, "Oh, R.I.P. Eccles," and so it was quite difficult to avoid finding out that was going to happen. Although I am quite pleased with the fact that it was only 3 or 4 weeks ago that we suggested that Eccles' time may be drawing near.
She's pretty old.
We did see it coming. Yeah, and although what we said is true, that Eccles' death seems to just be the catalyst to get Ken to stand for whatever it is, it had to happen sometime. Because she was getting jolly old. I mean, it was like with Daryl the rat, wasn't it? It's like this is like the world's oldest rat. When are they going to kill it off? Maybe they didn't want that to happen again with Eccles. I think when I was looking it up the other day, it said that they've got a lifespan of generally 10 to 15 years, and she's like 15, 16 now. So it had to happen. I know
sometimes animals live longer than you.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But more often than not, they don't.
It was sad, but I think. Yeah, I'd rather it hadn't been Emma. I'd rather it was Ken that was there, because Ken has showed, especially during all the Sinead drama last year, William Roach is very, very much capable of eliciting emotion from the viewers and emoting himself. We just didn't get to see it.
Weird that they used Eccles' death as a catalyst for the election and also for Emma to feel alienated from the Barlows.
Yeah, and even and we didn't see much of a reaction from Amy. Tracy's reaction
was anger.
Yeah, although I did enjoy the line today. She said a grand to kill a dog. I'm in the wrong job. I'd have done it for half of that. But it was funny. But again, it was just like, this is your family. It's not your family dog, but it's kind of a link between you and your mum and your grandma. And,
well, it kind
and now
of
it's
is the
gone.
family dog. I don't understand people that don't weep for days when a pet dies.
What? Just before we move on to the next story, what's thoughts about Michael working at the factory? I'm glad that he's been given something to do.
I think it's quite fun to think of him as having a sales job for something I don't think he's necessarily suited for. I don't know how much mileage they can get out of him haplessly trying to sell underwear to people.
I think they needed to tie him down to something, because since he's been in it, he's kind of felt like, you know, this week he's doing this and this week he's doing that.
He's supposed to be working at the builder's yard with his dad, but he doesn't seem to do that either.
No, and I think tying him down to something is probably good for the character. And the new Underworld still doesn't really feel like it's properly got going yet.
No, I know.
We've had the odd scene here and there.
Never see them actually making anything anymore.
No.
Have you noticed that?
There's office
Have you
scenes.
seen them at the sewing machines?
I don't even know.
It's all been office stuff, and it basically just Nick squinting at Gail or Alina.
Yeah. Or
Sarah.
I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but maybe they need a new factory storyline, a proper factory storyline in the new factory, and maybe having Michael there.
I am really surprised that there was not a big storyline to kick off the factory opening.
Yeah,
they've built this massive set. I mean, look, they built the vet set, and they've already used it twice. And one of the uses was to kill off a major character. They've had this factory set open for ages, and what have they done with it?
Yeah, not a lot.
No.
Right, Gemma. Over to Gemma. Winter Blues.
Yeah, so on Monday, Ches tells Kathy and Brian that he's worried about Gemma. He's clearly not that worried about her, that he's going to do anything other than pat her on the leg and say, it'll be fine in the end. He finds Bernie.
She's leaving. She's just because Gemma's told her that I don't need you here anymore, but she promises to keep an eye on her, and she says, I'm just a phone call away.
Yes. Chesney then says to Gemma, me and your mum are both worried about you. And she says, no, I don't need any help. Mum just wants free rent. Don't worry about anything she says to you. She's just making it up. And Chesney's like, oh, good. This is what I want to believe, so I'm going to believe it. On Wednesday, he's nagging Gemma about
going to the duck pond
with the quads. So she sits and waits for the bus and imagines pushing the babies in front of it. And then she snaps back to reality. What?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a bit like the dream sequence with the babies in the dishwasher the other week, or the washing machine the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where she pushes the babies in front of the bus, and then it's
she
just like, whoa.
Yeah, and she gets on the bus, and then it turns out she's left them on the bus, and the bus is driving away. I don't know what the bus driver's thinking.
I know, surely the bus driver would have realised, because there was a nice old lady on the bus saying, oh, she got on, and then she just got off again.
The bus driver's like, I've pulled away.
I've got a schedule that I need to stick to here.
I have to get to the next stop, and babies don't have to buy tickets anyway, so it's none of my business. So the bus is pulling away. Chesney notices, stops the bus, rescues them. Back at home, Chesney's like, you know what? If we all had to go to prison for leaving kids on a bus, I'd be there myself.
Yeah, because we said that, didn't we?
Yeah.
The fact that he left Ruby and Hope on the bus a few years ago when he was going through his
I had
his
PTSD.
post-stabbing drama.
What's wrong with you? Nothing. You got no excuse. Anyway, she says I just left my purse at the bus stop and
Got off the bus to get it, and then the bus pulled away.
yeah, and she says, well, you weren't even shouting after them or anything. You didn't look pretty calm about it. And she says, oh, I was just spaced out. And Chesney says, you need help. And she says, you're not taking my babies off me. And she storms upstairs and Chesney's like, this is too much for me. I'm going to phone at her mum and have her come and sort it out. So on Friday, Bernie comes back.
It's weird that Bernie went away for literally an episode.
Yeah,
I don't know what the point of making her... Couldn't she just been at the pub or something?
I think it needed Chesney to see that Bernie wasn't exaggerating and to have... Bernie was too involved in it. She wouldn't let this happen if she was there.
Yeah.
So Chesney had to sort of discover for himself, I guess. So Gemma still doesn't want to talk to anybody about it and says I feel like I'm on trial. But she does talk to Rita. She's in the gardens later. Rita comes and finds her, reassures her in her lovely Rita way. And Gemma's saying, I got thoughts I don't understand, I can't explain. It's just like, I don't know who I am anymore. I get thoughts in my head. It doesn't feel like they're from me, but it must be from me.
Because I'm the only one there.
Yeah. I don't think there's sometimes zero occupancy in her brain, to be honest. Never mind two people.
Rita's like, we all have crazy
We all have
thoughts
thoughts about
sometimes.
pushing children in front of buses.
I find that trams are also good for getting rid of people as well. Have you ever considered that one? But I just tell you what, just get a nice G&T down me and then I forget all about me worries.
Yeah. Have you tried being an alcoholic? She fears Chesney would leave her if he knew the thoughts that she's having. And Rita says, come to dinner. So...
Yeah, maybe. Just come to dinner. I'm
dinner, I
hungry.
don't mind. She then arranges... So basically, Rita takes Gemma back to the house and Chesney's like, oh, hello. And Rita says, you've got to listen to this. Bernie, get out. Gemma, tell Chesney what you told me. And she says, I'm not managing. I am not cut out for being a mum. It wasn't an accident. I left them on the bus. I can't do this anymore. And Chesney says, let's go see Dr. Gaddis. Dr. Gaddis has just been sitting there waiting for somebody from...
Isn't anybody around here going to get sick? Come
It's
on.
so nice being an NHS doctor right now. Nobody's ill at all. I can do what I like with my afternoons.
Yeah. I can
She's there with a
imagine
jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and then when they open the front door, it rings a little bell and she's like,
Oh, someone's ill, yay!
time to put on the show, Susan.
Come on, Dr. Gaddis, you can do it. So, she goes in. Gemma starts to open up. She is still have this thing in her head that she can't tell people what she really thinks, because if she did, they would take the children away from her. But I guess we'll find out more about how this appointment goes next week.
Well, I've got a feeling that maybe the appointment's going to be cut short because somebody else might be heading there for some somewhat more important medical emergency.
Dr. Gaddis will be like, right, shut up, you. The bell's gone again. Get out.
This boy's having a seizure here.
Take some aspirin or something.
So Gemma is on the one hand worried about the quads being taken away, and on the other hand thinking about let's just stick them on a bus and let somebody else take them away.
Yeah, she basically says to Dr. Gaddis, when this storyline first happened, lots of people told me that it was a bad idea, but I didn't listen to them. But
Well,
now
she just did the viewers a favour.
Now I think that we should probably... Can you ask the script writers to like maybe kill some of them off or something? Because I tried to do it myself just then, but it was just a dream sequence. I've been trying to do it. Can you imagine how frustrating it would be if you're a fictional character and you were trying to get rid of somebody and kill them, and then it turns out every single time it's just a dream sequence? How frustrating!
I'd pay the bus fare to put the quads on the bus and have them taken to who knows where.
Yeah, how much for a day trip?
On the Weatherfield Wayfarer.
£2.80.
2 and 6pence. Yeah, so I wouldn't say that there was a whole lot more that happened this week that hasn't happened before. Gemma's just kind of ramping up how much in despair that she's feeling, and Chesney understands a little bit more now.
I think this is a really good storyline for it's just such a shame. Why did it have to be 4 babies? That's the thing that I just keep getting stuck on, is that this is all unnecessary and would have been, to me, it would have felt more impactful if it had not involved 4 babies at once.
To me, it's just a token postnatal depression story. Like, I can't get over the fact that it feels like I've seen this
like
again and again and again.
But you've never thought of yourself as ever being a mother. Like, I'm not a mother, but I have definitely listened to people's experiences with a mind to, this could happen to me if I ever became a mum, and listening to what people say about it. Like, I've definitely heard women, like I remember somebody complaining who's like a blogger that I know, and she was saying that when she had her baby, she's like, people keep calling me mama, like, hey mama, how are you, and all this stuff. I'm sick of it, because yeah, I am a mum, but I'm not just a mum. And that's what Gemma was saying as well. Like, it's so frustrating too, because being a mum is gonna be a massive part of your life and who you are, but you don't want to be reduced to it. And people really are so dismissive of mums. Like, you know, even the way people stereotype them and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's weird. You say that, I've never thought about myself as being a mum or a parent or anything. Like, there's lots of stories that I don't personally relate to, but I can still get invested in them. And this one, it's just literally, whenever this story comes on, it's like, I zone out almost. I feel like I've been there, done that. It feels very much like, we need to get another issues-based storyline in.
I'm definitely warming more to this storyline than I thought I would. But like I said before, it doesn't need to have 4 babies in it.
I found it interesting how they mentioned Chesney's PTSD, and he brought up, I've been through something similar like this before, but they still haven't, as far as I remember, brought up the fact that Katie also had some kind of postnatal depression as well when Joseph was born, because there was a story, I was on a look on Coripedia yesterday, and Katie used to leave Joseph home alone while she went off to the pub or whatever, because she needed a break from him, and which is similar to what Gemma has been through. There was also a story where Faye was looking after Joseph one time after he was born, and then she locks Joseph in the house accidentally whilst there's like a chip pan on fire or something. So he's left in a burning house, literally the same burning house, which is exactly what happened to the quads in a way when their house was on. When Gemma trapped them in there the other day and they've had fire. It just feels like I've seen it before. But it's interesting how Chesney hasn't brought that up at all.
No.
He said that, is it something about Chesney? Is it if you have a baby with Chesney, you get depression? Oh God!
Like, this is me now for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Okay, maybe Katie's road accident in Spain was just a
get out clause.
Yeah, get out of life tied to Chesney.
Oh man, it just kind of makes me feel claustrophobic.
Anyway.
It's that the other. I guess one of the reasons it's a bit frustrating with this storyline is that I kind of agree with Gemma that she should get rid of the babies from a viewer's point of view. From a viewer's point of view, of thinking to myself that we could have, really think about this. How long is a human life? We could have 70 years of 4 bloody quads on the show. I'm going to die before they get rid of these quads. But if Gemma pushes them in front of a bus, the problems are solved. But this is the thing, that's not going to happen. So it's like, Gemma's there going, oh no, this is really, I can't cope with this. And I'm like, yeah, I can't cope with it either. But there's no solution for us, Gemma. You're going to have to keep the babies.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it should be fine.
False hope. Like, is she going to get rid of them? Is she going to adopt them out? Please.
Well, this is what happened to Faye and Miley, wasn't it?
The solution is, but the solution...
I think that she's just going to get over it.
Yeah, she will. Yeah, I know, but don't be so blasé and flippant about it. This is a real-life human struggles that people have. Like, but what my point is, the solution to postnatal depression, the doctors don't have a checklist. Like, right, have you tried just getting over it? No, yeah, you haven't. It didn't work. Okay. Have you tried antidepressants? Right, they did. It didn't work. Okay. Next thing, it says adopt them out. Have you tried that? It's not on the list, is it? It's not on the list.
No.
Have you tried pushing them in front of a bus? I won't say anything.
Toya might take, 1 or 2 of them off of her.
true. I'm surprised that she hasn't had to
Not been
go.
sniffing around. Right, as I was
She's
saying
like,
earlier...
Do you want... Oh, do you need all of those babies? Do you want to... You're not going to keep them all, are you?
As I was saying earlier, I've got a feeling
Selfish.
that Gemma's appointment with Dr. Gaddis may well be interrupted on Monday by Steve bursting in
but that just
with
makes
Ollie
me
in his
more
arms.
depressed because that means then that she's going to go, oh, I tried Chesney and...
Well, yeah, that's what will probably happen. She's going to be on the verge of making some kind of breakthrough, but then Steve and Ollie are going to come in and...
It does make me cross
My
a bit
son.
now because this will now be the second time she's gone to the doctor and the fourth person that she's confided in that she can't cope. And every single person seems to be going, no, you have to say the magic words, postnatal depression, otherwise I'm not going to do anything.
That's good.
I don't think you have to. You don't think you have to diagnose yourself with that. I think Dr. Gaddis really should have enough information now to say you need something a bit more hardcore to sort this out. Again, I don't actually know what is the cure. Is it just antidepressants?
I don't know.
What do you do?
I don't know. Even though I say I've seen this story played out before
Exactly,
on Coronation
I know what
Street, I
you're
can't even
talking
remember
about.
how they get over it in the end. I think
Oh.
they just stop the storyline, and then the next time we see them, they're fine.
How about would you like a 3-month break from being in the show? Oh, perfect. Thanks very much.
Nice. Usually, when characters have reached the pits of despair in the storyline, just they need to go off on holiday somewhere,
have you
don't
tried
they?
going to Malaga?
Yeah, living it large for a couple of
Do you want
months.
to go to the White Island? Large.
So anyway, basically, Steve is looking after Ollie on today's episode, but when he has to go over to sort out Emma and Seb's dramas that they're going on, he leaves Summer looking after Ollie.
He's
and when he
watching
comes
SpongeBob.
back, Ollie, well, hopefully not, otherwise Steve's going to be in trouble. When he comes back, Ollie is just kind of lying there, having had a seizure, it seems.
Or a fit or something.
Yeah, something like that. Faye just said he started shaking,
wasn't
and now
Faye, it was Summer.
Faye Summer says he's just shaking, and now he's lying still.
And this is
Steve scoops him up.
Can I just say, this is a lesson to all of us. Take the money up front. Summer's never going to get that £5 note that she was offered
Very
to
true.
babysit now,
Very
is she?
true.
Money up front.
So this is a
Steve picks him up and takes him to the medical centre, and that was the end of that was the final
So this
scene
was
of this week.
the very, very beginnings of what seems set to be quite a big storyline. If there's going to be, you know, another child illness, or just another illness, isn't it? Another child with another
can we not
character
have any more
with a
illnesses?
medical condition.
There must be something else that they can do. It feels like we went for years on Coronation Street and everyone was fit as a fiddle, and now over the past, if they put up a pylon or something, or open some kind of toxic waste
Tell you what,
dump.
it's 5G.
It's turned on 5G. Look at Ollie. He's dead on the floor. But look, Mark, got a really great phone reception. I think it's worth it.
I'm hopeful that this will give Steve McDonald a chance to be a bit more serious.
I don't need him.
I'm
to be
hopeful that this will give Leanne something to do, because she's been sorely underused for the last few years, and it's about time that. Well, I like Steve and Leanne acting together, although I don't want there to be more of naggy Leanne, because although I have grown to like Leanne more over the past 3 or 4 years, when she was in at the beginning of today's episode having a moan at Steve for being late, it did feel like yeah, that Leanne is
Leanne's back.
But this could be good.
So
it
this
feels like something fresh and new.
So this is related to him coughing. Or not?
I don't. What, when he had his we had his birthday party a month or 2 ago,
Because
didn't he? He was being very
adamant-
lethargic during that party.
I was adamant that this coughing he was doing was fake, but I have been schooled that it was not fake. He was actually coughing. The actor was coughing.
Well, there were still lines in the script that during his birthday party he'd been very tired. So I don't know whether that was like the beginnings that we were supposed to look back and remember now and go, the signs were there all along.
What is wrong with Ollie?
Who knows? I guess we'll
Has he
find
got-
out next week. But he's got something. I don't know what conditions can make
Epilepsy,
you
maybe.
have a seizure. Maybe.
That's the only one I know.
I wonder how serious it will be.
Are they going to
Could
kill
they
him?
kill him off? I mean, that would feel, that would be ramping it up. But Corrie doesn't kill off kids, does it? Apart from, Rory.
Difficult to know, isn't it? And also, child illness is just so depressing. I mean, it's bad enough when an adult gets sick, when a child gets sick, and
Yeah. I mean, Rory was Steve's kid as well, wasn't he? So he's been through it with that.
I know. The thing is, I guess the trouble about this is how much can they get the actor?
He's not going to be able to do much.
Are they going to make him lie in a bed with a tube up his nose and shave his hair off?
I don't know. Why didn't he shave his hair off?
Well, that's what they do to sick kids. They just
That's
shave their hair off. They go,
I don't think that
we need to do a video for an advert to get people to give us some money. So come here.
I'm kind of guessing that Steve's going to be blamed by Leanne for not being there. There's going to be tensions there, and then probably they're going to end up squabbling too much that they're not be able to give as
He's had
full
another
care
seizure and you didn't even notice.
To Ollie as they need to.
You're too busy arguing.
Nick and Tracy are going to be on the sidelines of the partners of this because as far as they're concerned,
I don't care if he lives or dies.
No, I mean, like the whole fact that Steve and Leanne had this one night stand that they're kind of hoping to put to bed, and I know that Ollie is the fruit of their night of passion, but this is going to draw them back together again. Tracy's probably going to feel excluded, and she's already at the end of last year worried that Steve was neglecting her. Well, Tracy's just going to get neglected again during whatever dramas go on here, aren't there?
And she's very self-centered.
She's totally self-centered. I don't think she really cares about Ollie.
No, I think she resents him.
Yeah.
Might be interesting to explore how she would feel about, like, oh, is it my fault? Did I, because I kind of wish something bad would happen to him, and now it is.
Yeah. Well, as long as she doesn't end up, in bed with Claudia or something at the end of this, then.
Oh, I'm so sad, Claudia. Oh, come here, darling. I'll make you feel better.
It could also, my other hope for this is it's another story possibly that Toya could be involved in, as, through the Leanne link, and Toya was there at Ollie's birthday party as well.
She'd be like, oh, your kid's ill, so you don't want him anymore then? I'll have him.
Yeah. So it's got potential, but if it's just, it's a sick kid, let's be angry at each other, then maybe not. So I hope that... How many twists can this kind of story have?
It's interesting.
The biggest one would be, what if Ollie dies?
Ugh, I don't want him to die. It's too sad.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that as somebody that doesn't... I mean,
it ties into what you're saying about, like, to make us like a character, do we just make them cry?
Yeah.
And we've already got enough grief at the moment.
I don't really want a child to die.
It feels like this isn't going to be a grief-free storyline.
Yeah, I know. And it's also like, we really went through the thing with Hope, and it feels like that was recent enough that I don't need another kiddie ill story.
Oh, yeah, and Jack with his leg and...
Yeah, what, can they just leave people alone?
Yeah. But literally, I know nothing about how the story's going to go.
I don't know.
Did you even know that he was going to have a seizure?
No, I didn't.
I think that a few months ago, Stuart Blackburn had said, "Oh, there's going to be a big story for Steve and Leanne and something. It's going to be dark and terrible." And then I think I saw last week that Ollie was going to have a seizure, but I have got absolutely no inkling.
It could be lots of things though that cause a seizure. Like, it could be a tumour in his brain pushing on something, or some kind of imbalance in his humours.
There's a quality set of actors involved in this storyline, and that's what I'm really holding on to at the moment. Jane is great, Ben Price is great, Kate Ford I like. Steve McDonald has proven that he can,
the actor
pull out
Steve McDonald.
The actor Steve McDonald, Simon Gregson, has proven that he can pull out the stops when he needs to. So we'll see. I
just don't like relentless sadness, and sickness storylines have always been something I don't like, because they're relentless and they trap you, and they're too close to home.
Yeah, Corey Boss is like, that Sinead thing. People
lapped it up.
Yeah.
Those suckers. What we have to do is get a character and stick him in a hospital bed, and people watch it.
Watch those ratings soar.
You know what? We should get George Clooney in, because he was good in that ER programme.
Right. Well, I guess we're going to see.
Why don't they just if they're so excited about people being sick, why don't they bugger off and go work for Casualty or Holby City? Leave me alone and let me just watch people. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and I never thought I would. I'd rather watch affair storylines than this. We got so sick and tired of... It feels like sometimes they get themselves in a rut and they keep doing the same storyline over and over again. And it used to be affairs, and now it seems to be medical problems.
Well, I'd rather watch affairs. We do have a love triangle going on as well at the moment, don't we, with Sebelina and Emma?
Yeah, it's boring, but I'd rather watch that than Ollie with a tube up his nose.
Well, we do also have, and there's literally nothing much to say here for the Kelly storyline. Kelly is back, isn't she? Rick Neelan's daughter, who Gary's been paying to get her Oak Hill education,
this is
but
a
now
mystery,
it turns
isn't
out
it?
that she started at Weatherfield Comp and she's friends with Asher, isn't she?
Oh
So
no, that means she's going to be in the storyline.
well, yeah. So it's nice that we've got Asher back again. Although I don't know what's going on with her skin lightening stuff, because it really felt like that wasn't the end the last
No,
time we
I
saw
know.
that, which was a good 5 or 6 months ago now, it feels like.
Yeah,
And
the
now
last-
she's got something else to do.
Wasn't the last thing we saw literally that kind of the iconic
Yeah.
holding the thing up
Holding the
against...
magazine
And
up to my
I didn't
face.
feel like when I watched that she's going, yes, I do compare with this picture. I don't need
No.
to change a thing about myself.
We've heard that she's had counselling, haven't we, since?
Do you think
But-
the council's like, have you tried just not looking at magazines?
That story's
'Cause I'm
not
out of
over.
ideas then.
That story's not over.
Do you
But anyway,
reckon?
it can't be. It really, really can't
Well,
be
it would
over.
be good if it wasn't, because it didn't have an ending.
No.
And she's got a boyfriend now, isn't she, or something?
There's this Corey who was involved last year. It seems like he texted her on Wednesday.
Can I just
with
say-
something encouraging?
Corey, to me, is the name of a character who dies first in a horror movie. Who's called Corey in this country?
It feels like an American heartthrob kind of name.
No, he dies first.
Gary spots Kelly and is a bit worried.
What are you
that she's
doing?
back on the scene again. So he phones
Well,
up
he's worried.
Oak Hill
Why
and
is she
says,
there
"Where's she?"
wearing... I paid for a pleated navy skirt and she's wearing grey. What's going on?
But he doesn't find out anything over the phone, does he?
Well, she's not a pupil there, but he doesn't know why.
Yeah. So I'm glad that the Rick Neelan story seems to be ramping up again, because I need a bit of closure on that.
I know, are we ever going to find out? Is anyone ever going to find out?
Well, the fact that they've
What
bothered to
happened?
bring Kelly back in means that surely it's going to be leading up to that. I mean, just because she's there and friends with one of his neighbours, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to start blurting out, "I killed your dad."
You never know.
But what? Why do you think that she's not at Oak Hill anymore?
I don't know. All I can think of is that the mum must be fine with the fact that Rick Neelan's gone somewhere.
Well, they
father
seem
of
to
the
think that
child.
he's abroad, and
Yeah,
this is what
on
I'm
the
finding
run.
it difficult to.
But still paying school fees.
I'm finding it very, very difficult to believe that all this time after Rick was killed,
no
no one's really
but
bothered,
the
and they
thing
just. I know
is-
he's a dodgy ducker
No,
and
I know.
diver, and he's gone underground or whatever
Michael.
before, maybe, but.
The wife of the ex-wife or partner of the mother of Kelly must think to herself, well, I'm rid of him, thank God for that, but he's still paying for the school fees, so I'll keep my mouth shut. But the thing is, I was thinking like, oh, maybe she's fallen on hard times, but what costs were involved in her going? It's not like she can phone the school up and say, you know, that money, can you just give it to me instead of letting her go? You know what I mean? She's not going to benefit at all from not putting her in the school, because the money's not going to come. Like, she may have tried to get hold of him and say, I need the money. Can you give me the money for her school because we are being kicked out of the house or something?
Well, whatever
There's no
the reason.
benefit. Like you could live in a in a 1-bedroom flat with her and still someone else is paying for her to go to private school. Great. The only thing I can think of is maybe she can't afford uniforms or school trips but
Well,
that's not a reason to
Whatever
just pull
it
her
is,
out.
Kelly doesn't seem to know why she's not there anymore, which is also weird, because wasn't it Dev that asked her, why aren't you going to Oak Hill anymore? And she says, oh, you'll have to speak to Mum and Dad about that. Why wouldn't she know?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, I was very surprised that we didn't get any of this story in tonight's episode. So I'm intrigued, but I hope that it leads fairly swiftly to a ramping up of Rick's body being discovered, because again, it's just been a little bit too long, and I don't want it to turn into an Ali and Ronan situation where it doesn't get any closure.
Yeah.
Finally, Gemma, we had this protest storyline today. Do you want to
Love this storyline. Friday, Toya is supposed to be going for this interview at some insurance company, And Imran's trying to sort of help her and say, you know, make it into an opportunity.
Toya doesn't really seem
She's
into
like,
it.
I'm not bothered about, you know, she needs a job, but it's not going to set her heart on fire. I don't know why she can't just be a counsellor somewhere else. That's what I don't understand. But she seems to have decided that she just is not going to do that job anymore. She has to do something else. So then she sees that Nina, Evelyn and Mary are going to go to a protest outside the council offices because they refuse to commit to a 0% carbon emissions target.
The fiends.
And she's like, oh, how exciting. And she kind of like tags along with them. And you just know from her excited expression that she is not going to go to this job interview. Leanne goes into the cafe and says, Imran, you need to come because Toya's at the police station. They've all been arrested. You need to go. So he and Roy go to the Weatherfield police station. The policeman behind the counter, like, he's seen it all. He's not even excited by this story, which is the most hilarious story I've ever heard about somebody being arrested on Coronation Street. And to be fair, there are some really good candidates for this. But it turns out they all tried to gaffer tape themselves to the head of the Environmental Services Committee, but he's decided not to press charges because he doesn't want his wife to find out, because it looked like he quite enjoyed it. And it also turns out that it was Toya's idea.
This is the sort of thing that I wish they'd show.
I know.
Quite often on Coronation Street, they'll describe these crazy
funnier.
situations that characters get into, and it
it's
almost
funny to
feels a bit
imagine.
too sitcom-y for me.
No, it's funny to imagine it.
Oh.
You can't be gaffer taping Maureen Lipman, the nation's greatest treasure, to a man on television. You might break her or knock her over or something. She's very delicate.
She'd be up for it.
She would be up for it, but we've got to protect her.
So have you got any ideas where this story is leading? Because surely this wasn't it. Is it... whose story is it? Is this Nina's first big story? Is it Toya's first story in a long time? Is it Toya... Is it going to, you know, reinvigorate the flames of passion in Toya for all things protesty? Is she going to be climbing up a tree again? Because she certainly doesn't seem to want just a boring
9 to
desk
5
job.
Yeah. I love the way that Imran's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Roll my eyes, go off, rescue my girl. He didn't really seem that surprised that she'd been arrested. Also really loved... the protest fashion from Evelyn and Nina. Nina had some kind of like big black cape on, and Evelyn was dressed up like a French spy.
She
with
was.
Big sunglasses and a beret and like a lovely silk scarf.
I think what you were saying with Imran, it feels like this is going to cause a bit more friction between them. And
He's very straight-laced, isn't he? And
we
know he comes from a very traditional background because his parents were like very devout Muslims and cared about that, like, you're standing in the community. He must have, even though he didn't agree with their religion or politics, I don't think, he definitely has taken on this establishment, like you play by the rules, because he's a lawyer. Like he kind of skips in and out of like the part of his job, I guess, is to kind of like skirt the rules where you can, but Toya's breaking them. And he's probably going to point out to her that it's really not a good look for the local solicitor to bail his girlfriend out because she was, not that they had any charges pressed, but it still just is a bit of bad publicity for him, really. Although he didn't really seem that mad about it.
No, but it's whether she starts doing it again, I suppose. I don't want this to be the beginning of the end for Toya and Imran, which, you know, would fit in with the usual Corrie way of doing things. They have a story when they get together and then we don't see them together again until they're splitting up.
Yeah.
But I do like how it's reminded Toya about her principles.
Yeah, because the last time we really saw her caring about stuff was she had that vegan meeting at the pub.
But really, a lot of people, I wouldn't blame them for saying Toya's a little bit boring, because she is kind of so straight-laced, isn't she, and a bit of a stick-up-her-bum sort of person. And this would be good to, give her a bit of zhuzh, bit of re-energising again. Yeah.
It's good that they're doing environmental stuff as well, because remember I said one of my stories I wanted
no plastics,
no plastic zone, and
Roy says he's getting rid of his
Roy did tell
cups,
Imran off for having his plastic cup, which makes me think that there might be more conflict, because not just the fact that she's protesting and got herself in trouble, but maybe Imran probably thinks like it's stupid. He obviously doesn't care that much because he's like, oh, I forgot my cup, so I have to have this paper cup.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't care, obviously.
No.
Or thinks it's important. But she obviously really, really does, because it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where that leads next week as well. Possibly.
How much fun. I also thought, I was getting really panicky because I thought that Nina told Toya that she had a friend called Freya, I think, who had a vegan cat, and I was like, oh, good God, no, please don't put that on the TV, because if you make a cat vegan, you'll kill it. Literally, they have to eat meat, otherwise they die. And I was thinking, if I go on Twitter now, I'm going to see a bunch of people saying Coronation Street is trying to murder cats. I hope not. But no, it was a vegan car. And I don't know how a car can be vegan. Is oil not a product of an animal product?
I don't know.
But it's like dead dinosaurs, right?
Oh, yeah.
So can you be a vegan and drive a car? I'm going to say no.
How many vegan cars are you scoring this week's Coronation Street
I
out of, Gemma?
quite enjoyed it. There was quite a lot that went on. I mean, like we said, I didn't agree with the way all of it kind of played out, but still, there's plenty of drama. So... And also, I'm still really liking the cliffhangers, and I think Corrie really should evaluate this period and say, did the cliffhangers work for us? Because they're in a sort of a difficult position where they have to accept things as they come. They can't... Their original plans for the way things were going to be transmitted aren't going to go. So they have to... It's kind of good in a way, because it's forced them to try things new without even realising that's what they were doing. Are they going to look at this and go, it looks like people do like the cliffhangers, or does it actually mean that people get fed up with it? Because I'm loving it. Maybe some people don't like it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that tonight's one was left on a cliffhanger. I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen with Ollie next week.
I think
I'm quite interested to find out.
The other trouble is about cliffhangers and demanding that each week ends on one. Corrie has had this issue of having to have a fake out cliffhanger 3 times a week, and to have 4 a week is pushing it even further, because you have to have the first episode almost always ends with like dun dun dun, you know, sometimes more than others. And it kind of makes the storytelling a bit artificial at times. Now they don't have that at all. They've just got 3 episodes a week. But when it ends on a cliffhanger, even when it's going to get resolved fairly quickly, like, you know that Monday Ollie's going to go to the thing.
Oh yeah, he's not going to die,
is he?
He's not going to die on
Dr.
Monday.
Gatsby will be like, oh dear, we have to do some tests on him. And they'll be like, oh dear, I hope it's something bad. And she goes, oh, me too. Actually, no, I hope he's really ill.
Give me something to do.
Yeah.
I have such long, boring afternoons here at the medical centre.
Look at all these jigsaws I've done. There's a 3D
Sometimes I go
one
weeks without any patients.
I've got an adult colouring book with all the anatomical parts. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what people think. And it's easy, like I say, I think my point was, it's easier to manufacture a storyline, what are they called?
I don't know.
Cliffhangers, when you've only got 3 episodes a week and you don't have... Basically, the cliffhangers normally are to get people to watch the second episode.
Yeah, tune in at 8:30. And now it's tune in on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't think I was as into this week as you were. I did enjoy the Jeff and Yasmin stuff. But as I said, I don't think the Eccles stuff really quite sat with me.
That's because you're horrible.
I am
Is it because
heartless.
it was a dog and not a cat?
I think if it had been a cat, I might have felt it more. This is the other thing. We've seen dogs be put to sleep on Coronation Street before. How many times have we seen a cat put to sleep? Never.
They just get run
times, is
over.
what I say.
What are you saying?
No, because
Michael,
it was more Emma sobbing
Michael,
again.
are you saying Coronation Street should kill more cats? Because it does sound like that's the message I got.
It wants me crying. I shed no tears for Eccles this week. It was sad, but I was, as I said, I was kind of in the back of my head. I was going, oh, why does it have to be more Emma misery? And then we had Emma misery, we had Gemma misery, and then we had little bits with Gary and Ollie, but that's not really enough to add to the score. I don't think I can.
Gary and what?
Gary and Leanne and Ollie and all that.
I thought you said Gary and Dolly.
No, there were. I don't think I can go any higher than 3 soy lattes in my own drinking vessel this week.
I can't believe it. I want to give it 4 vegan cats.
You can give it 4 vegan cats if you want to. Yeah, I just didn't, you know.
Oh wow.
It was okay. It was fine. It was fine.
Oh,
I haven't had to think about character of the week yet this week.
it's a difficult one because really kind of want to give it to Emma.
I thought you were going to say Eccles then.
But yeah, I wanted to give it to Emma, but I didn't like how she was scapegoated.
She gave a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
She's very good at doing the old crying.
And I did feel
But it doesn't
like
mean that-
it felt forced how everything got dumped on her and how nobody in the Barlow family, including Steve really, was sympathetic to her. And everyone blamed her. And like even Seb said, look, I know you killed a dog and everything. Like she didn't kill a dog. The vet did that.
I might say... No, I don't know. I don't know whether I've got any major standouts. So I don't know whether to give it to somebody that's, just for something little, like Ryan, for example, for promising to keep an eye on Yasmin, and he's had to put up with a lot of grief since going out with Alia.
I know.
More,
is she
and it's
worth it?
not just going out with Alia,
She's a
which
bit
seems
high
like more than
maintenance, as it
enough
is.
grief, and he's still putting a brave face on it and agreeing to help out Yasmin.
I think. Do you want to hear a shocking thing?
What?
I think I might give it to Gemma.
Ooh.
Because I did really feel for her. There's really so much interesting, like, thing is, because I studied psychology at college, and I've always been interested in it, and part of the reason why I really like soaps is how do people think, and how do people that are different from me experience things differently than the way I do. But one of the things I am really interested in is like the female identity and how when you become a mother, your kind of your personal identity gets kind of put behind this bigger kind of cultural identity of what it means to be a mother, and getting trapped where you can't express yourself and you feel like you are the weight of expectations of what does being a mother mean crushes you, and as a woman you become an anonymous archetype of what a mother should be, and it's all what you always judge, like, are you a good mother or not? Nobody cares about anything else about you. It's just, are you a good mother or not? And Gemma is just stuck in this kind of cycle of, I'm not a good mum, and that's all she cares about. And she was saying, like, I don't feel like, that's why she's saying to Sarita, I don't feel like myself anymore, because she is just judging herself as against this kind of legend figure of what a mother is. Like, yeah, and I could talk for hours about it.
So you're gonna go for Jeff, are you?
No,
Not
Gemma.
Gemma, I mean.
So after all that, you're going to go for Jeff,
reading
are
the
you?
notes, and Jeff is the name that my eyes
Yes,
happen
Michael.
to go on.
Jeff's struggle
I
about being a mother is my most
I could
interesting.
give it to Jeff, not for anything particular this week, but just for continuing to be nasty and keep this story that I'm really invested in going. And I don't know whether I've given it to Jeff before. And he's a clever, he's a wily old coot, is Jeff.
I know, but we disapprove of him.
We do.
It's fine to quit. It's fine to
But then he didn't.
He didn't do a lot this week,
week, did he? Ooh, excuse me for
my
that little
God.
burp there. Oh no, I'm going to give it for Emma. I'm going to give it to Emma.
What about
because
Emma?
I'm going to give it to Emma because Ali did a great
Yeah, she
performance, even though she was put in a situation that I'd rather she hadn't been.
Yeah.
She had to make some tough decisions, and she's had to. I'm giving her a sympathy vote, basically. And maybe that's not the reason that you should.
Sympathy votes still count as a vote, don't they?
Okay.